Hello. Today I want to talk about code and its effect on the world. Coding is political. This is on the Eric Matthes GitHub page, and I first read this after buying his book, Python Crash Course, and it resounded with me because I thought, well, nobody's ever said this before, so let's read this and then we'll discuss how this affects other things that are being developed in the larger world. So I've often been asked why I care so much about helping people to learn code. I've always responded by saying that code is power, and learning to code gives you power. The more you understand code, the more you understand how much impact tech platforms and products have on people's lives, whether through the implementation of specific features or the lack of implementation of certain features. It matters little whether these impacts are intentional or not. So even if it's unintended, it still impacts people's lives. So you might accidentally write some code without any, a bit like Satoshi with Bitcoin. He wrote the code and he hoped it would succeed, but I suspect he had no idea of the knock-on effect. For instance, I'll get to it in a minute, the diabolical FTX scandal with all the altcoins in America and the exchanges, which nothing to do with Bitcoin, they're crypto, and I'll get onto that in a second. Anyway, when you built a platform that a significant part of society uses for communication, for example, your code has direct impact on society itself. When you write code that helps someone determine who gets a loan, you impact who can afford to buy a home. This is going to have enormous impact in the next few years with CBDCs. If you haven't heard of them yet, again, absolutely diabolical. Central bank digital currencies. And before you think, oh, this Python 360 has gone all tinfoil hat, no, just read about the impact that this could have on your life. If you look at what's happened in China, China, how many people? 2 billion. India, what, 1 billion? So almost half the world soon will be affected by central bank digital currencies. This is where you have programmable money. Programmable money which can be turned on and turned off. It's electronic. It can be switched. Also, not only can it be switched on or off, it can have time limits. This is probably the even more sinister aspect, where putting a time limit on money actually gives it an expiry date. So the money that you want to save for your future ceases to be spendable. A bit like when if you have some certain currency that's going to be ended, physical currency I'm talking about. So in England we had um, like a half p piece money or an old £5 note, and you're given a few months to spend them all, and they will get collected by the bank. But if they don't, then you no longer able to spend them. That will happen with central bank digital currencies. Then you will have to spend that money, or it will just be useless. It will disappear from your account. So programmers, don't do it. Anyway, it's abundantly clear in the US and in many places around the world that those who have power are desperate to hold on to that power and are willing to use force. Any means necessary is an all too common phrase. To hold on to that power. We're not talking about, well, we are talking about guns and tanks and aeroplanes and so on, but the force primarily is you only have to go on social media and see what happens in China with people being dragged out of their houses, or in the Netherlands where farmers are. Anyway, I don't want to get too controversial because otherwise I'll probably get deplatformed, and it's a very fine line. I mean, you don't want to be censored, but also if you say things which are controversial, then you risk actually losing your ability to communicate anything. And that force is disproportionately, to a mind-boggling degree, used against black people, indigenous people, and anybody who can be classified as a minority. As you learn to code, please be aware of the power you are gaining. As you work on projects, whether your own projects or those that are controlled by someone else, please focus on projects that share power. Please refuse to work on projects that consolidate power, especially for those who will use it against others. Okay, so you've read that. Let's just talk about what's happened in America recently. And if you've heard of FTX or the FTX scandal, I'm not even going to give the idiot any oxygen, but they even sponsored sports stadiums, and it was all a Ponzi scheme, and it was diabolical. But 135 million to sponsor a sports arena. Where did that money come from? It came from people investing, in inverted commas, into crypto. Whenever you see the word crypto, just run a mile. And if you don't know the difference between crypto and Bitcoin, just have a read. Ask yourself that question and go and read about it, because they're chalk and cheese. This is the FTX Trustpilot score. So if you've bought some, I can't even say the word. They're called shipcoins. Shipcoins. So if you've bought a shipcoin, I think you know what I'm saying here. Or actually, to be honest, I think even if you've bought Bitcoin via their exchange, you've done your money. So the secret here is buy Bitcoin because it's not a shipcoin. It will be classified as a commodity ultimately, not a security. Securities are owned by companies and also have the ability to print it from thin air. So Upwork, if you're looking on Upwork and you're looking at, oh yeah, I might do some blockchain or Solidity. Right, blockchain is a Trojan horse for Ethereum, which is run by a boy who enjoys dancing like a badger. So I'm not going to rant on about that. Just let that sink in. Ethereum was created by a boy who likes to dance like a badger, and you cannot prove, or there's no proof of work, so you have to rely on their Amazon web servers to verify the authenticity or the veracity of the transactions. Yeah, okay, Web3, you may have heard of that, in Solidity, blah blah blah. Just remember, coding is political. If you write code for Ethereum, Solidity, you are potentially writing code, especially if it's a startup, VC money, VCs, venture capital. The only reason venture capitalists invest money is because they see a big profit. Where does the big profit come from? It comes from building something out of thin air, helping themselves to an ICO, initial coin offering, and then ultimately dumping it on retail. So pump and dump. Also look at pump and dump crypto. There's 20,000 cryptos out there. They're all scams. The only one that isn't, because it's not crypto, is Bitcoin. Read about it. Read about why is Bitcoin different to crypto, and the mists will clear. So one last thing I just wanted to talk about is, people probably think, well, what's going on with this channel? Or if you've followed it for a while. If you haven't, then welcome. You may have come across this channel via some either automate Word documents, Python docx. You may have come across it via web scraping or eBay. So I just wanted to say, this channel makes very little money, and it's getting to the point now where the time required to make a video can take, say, even for a kind of a hastily put together video, could take me 2 to 3 hours. The revenue that I will ever make from that, potentially, is maybe £1 or £2. What will that? I know that sounds. So what? Well, I could spend 2 or 3 hours of my life making a video about, about some finer point of Python programming, or I wouldn't say Pytest because they've done okay, but if I made a specific video about a specific part of Python, and I could make enough to buy one loaf of bread ever. So, and this is, I know I don't want to start discussing sensitive data because I don't want YouTube sort of getting cross with me, because I still hope that one day it will make me more income, because it's always good to have a side hustle, especially these days with what's going on in the world. But yeah, if you want to know how much somebody makes with 3,000 subscribers, it probably makes me a loaf of bread a day. So there we go. But I'm not complaining. That's just sharing, being honest with you, and also being honest that there is a lot of money to be made if you want to go off and get your hands dirty with blockchain, Solidity, cryptocurrency, smart contract, Ethereum. So yeah, lots of money, but just think about coding is political. It's abundantly clear in the US and in many other places around the world that those who have power are desperate to hold on to that power and are willing to use force. So again, without going into rumors, there are rumors that the whole well, you can look up for yourselves how much money did FTX donate, and not only did they donate hundreds of millions to one political party in the US, they actually donated to both. Just let that sink in for a minute. Donating hundreds of millions of pounds to both political parties. Why would they even do that? Again, mind-boggling. Lots of things are becoming very mind-boggling. And again, if you want to read this, I think I'm really pleased that he put this on here, but I just hope that everybody sees it. On a brighter note, look at how the impact of Bitcoin, there's a Bitcoin conference going on in Africa at the moment, and it's banking the unbanked. So governments, especially in certain developing parts of the world, are quite unscrupulous, and they will seize your money if you put it in a bank. And as we all know, what's happened with certain countries with lorry drivers, truck drivers in the past. So if you don't want to lose your money or get your money seized, no matter where in the world you are now, think about becoming your own bank. And on that note, I would just say, just go and read about Bitcoin. And it's not as a money-making idea. Bitcoin is not a way to make money. It's a way to store your money. Just let that sink in. It's not a way to make money. It's not a money-making idea. Why is that directed to Binance? I thought I put in Bitcoin Core. Try it again. Bitcoin. Should be Bitcoin.org. There we go. An innovative payment network and a new kind of money. So no matter where you are in the world, you can travel across international borders, and as long as you memorized your seed phrase, or you've got a cold USB, effectively it's a USB key that stores your key phrase, your private key. Yeah. This is not an advert for Bitcoin, by the way. This is an advert for coding is political. Don't invest in crypto or shipcoins. Read about FTX. Be selective about what you do, especially on Upwork or anywhere else. Solidity is tied to Ethereum. Ethereum had an initial coin offering, and it's run by a boy who likes doing the badger dance. Just let that sink in. Thanks for watching.